So I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Alameda County Local Agency Formation Commission on Thursday, March 13th, 2025. Would everybody stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we get started, I've got a note from our clerk, April, and she says, I'll be out of town for the March meeting, but the Dublin City Clerk, Marcia Moore, will be clerking for me at this meeting. The quote is, she's a pro. Thanks, Marcia. Marcia, could you do a roll call?
Chair Johnson,
Here.
Commissioner Balch,
Present.
Commissioner Faria,
Present.
Commissioner Halbert,
Present.
Commissioner Marchand,
Here.
Commissioner Miley, absent. Commissioner Splendorio,
Here.
alternate Commissioner Tam, absent. Alternate Commissioner Von Heater Leopold,
Here.
alternate Commissioner Warner, alternate Commissioner Hu, absent. Let the record reflect roll has been taken and we have a quorum present.
Thank you. Let's move on to item number 3. That's the welcome returning and new commissioners. The commission will acknowledge the appointment of Mayor Balch and Mayor Hu and the reappointment of Commissioner Marchand by the Alameda County Mayor's Conference on March 12th, 2025. Welcome, everybody.
Good to be back.
Yeah, thanks, John.
Thank you.
The next item is public comments. I do have one speaker card. It's for Kelly Abreu. Kelly, I think you're familiar with the 3-minute limit.
I have an item that involves environmental stewardship, the definition of swimming pools, lakes, ponds, and reflecting pools, ownership responsibilities, land ownership, and all at the same time, interagency cooperation. And it's not even a minor item to where you can, just kind of zone out and not listen to my comments. In the middle of Fremont, there's 80 acres of land, literally in the middle of Fremont. It's called Lake Elizabeth. Now, this Lake Elizabeth is owned by the county of Alameda, but they operate it, the city operates it as a park. And that's the environmental part, right? Parks, people they like parks. They expect the parks to be there. And in this case, this park is in danger of disappearing because the lake could disappear. And if a swimming pool or a lake or a pond is small enough, it's no longer considered zoned as a lake. It's considered a reflecting pool. And Lake Elizabeth is heading towards becoming a reflecting pool. That's when it's less than 18 inches deep. It started out as an artificial lake, 6 feet deep, and now it's about 3 feet deep. And also 1,000 fish died. 1,000 fish died. You know what 1,000 dead fish looks like? Do you know what they smell like? And it was all over the newspapers. And so what is the county? It's called the Alameda County Flood Control District. What did they say? Well, they said that's a flood control facility. And if it is not impacted, the flood control operations of if it's still, then we don't consider that an impact to flood control. Therefore, we're not going to do anything. We only operate a flood control facility. This is kind of like the Alameda County Flood Control District is in like a drug-induced daze. They're in some kind of a psychedelic hallucination because they think that this is a flood control facility. It's not. It's a city park, and it's the most important urban park in the city. And the fish are dying, and there's a proposal, 25 years ago, they dredged it. They have to keep, you know, the natural life cycle of a lake? Lakes disappear, they turn into meadows. The only way you can keep a lake operating is by going in and dredging it. So they did that, and it was built in 1968. It was dredged around 2001 or 2003. The city has asked them to dredge it again. They refused. And this is also interagency matter. That's what LAFCO is all about, isn't it? Interagency cooperation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kelly. So the next agenda item is the consent calendar. Would any commissioners like to pull an item to discuss before a motion?
I noticed a spelling error. Okay. You wanna-
Yeah.
Under item 7, the review of LAPD, East Bay Regional Park District, Jan's name, I think, was misspelled. I think there should be a C instead of an O. Other than that,
Any other? Would someone be willing to make a motion to approve with?
sure, I'll move it with that correction.
Okay,
Second.
so I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion or public input? Hearing none, is this a roll call vote?
So, we don't have to do a roll call vote since Commissioner Miley's not present, but whatever you prefer, Chair, we can.
Okay, so all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstained?
I'll abstain since I was not here.
Okay,
I know he was trying to sign in at some point.
Okay,
We want to make sure he's not on.
I don't see him.
Okay.
so the motion carries. The next item is the draft operating budget and work plan for fiscal year 2025, 2026. I'll turn this over to staff for a report.
Thank you, Chair Johnson. The proposed operating budget presented to the commission sets operating expenses at $910,855,000, which is a net increase from this current fiscal year of $92,317. And that's about an 11% increase from the current fiscal year. This increase is supplemented with a fund balance offset of $290,000, and that's a 25% increase from this current fiscal year again. There is a total increase in agency contributions by $63,317 or 12.6%. And while I note that's a large total increase, the amount for the county, city, and special district portions increased by approximately $21,000 and then split amongst each agency category with the exception for the county. This increase is marked by expenses as LAFCO transitions towards the operational separation from the county, and that includes employee benefits, professional services for operational costs such as payroll, bookkeeping, and legal expenses. And also anticipated cost increases are expected in retirement and health benefits as we explore new plans and as LAFCO transitions to its own employer. The majority of the costs are attributed to, in the case for the benefits, to vacation payouts as employers must pay employees for any unused vacation time when they separate from an agency. So that was an expense increase for the budget. As far as the operating expenses total, they're divided between labor and non-labor costs by a 60-40% split. The proposed work plan includes the continuation of a health services municipal service review, as well as a sustainable agricultural land and conservation acquisition grant project. And then, of course, LAFCO's transition to independence. Adoption will precede a formal public review and comment period and conclude with final action taken at the commission's next regular meeting scheduled for May 8th. With that, I'll return the item to the chair.
Thank you, Rachel. Any discussion on the item from commission?
Thank you for the report.
Okay. Is there any public input into this item? Okay, so I consider the staff recommendation, and that is to alternative number 1. It's to adopt the attached resolution and proposed budget and a work plan for 2025-26. Direct the executive officer to circulate the proposed budget for 2025-26 for review and comment by the funding agencies and general public, and direct staff to return with the final budget for 25-26 for adoption as part of the notice public hearing on May 8th, 2025.
Move.
Okay, I have a motion, a second?
Second.
We have a
Okay.
motion and a second. Is this, Rachel, is this a roll call or?
Just no roll call for this.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries.
Great job. Thank you.
Move on to item number 7. This is the East Bay Regional Park District and the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District review of the tax sharing agreement and service provisions. Turn over to staff.
Chair, and please everyone bear with me because I want to provide a really thorough update to everyone. So the purpose of this item is to provide an update on discussions between the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District, LARPD, and the East Bay Regional Park District regarding their 1992 tax sharing agreement. The LAFCO subcommittee, consisting of Commissioner Warner and myself, the LAFCO executive officer, held a meeting between LARPD and East Bay Regional Park District on February 28th, aimed to address concerns raised by LARPD regarding the allocation of tax revenues and service provision within Murray Township. The report presents a summary of the meeting, discussion, financials disclosed, and the positions of both agencies, as well as potential pathways toward a resolution. In 1992, East Bay Regional Park District submitted a proposal with the endorsement of LARPD to annex 276 square miles of land referenced as Murray Township to East Bay Regional Park District. The purpose of the proposal is for East Bay Regional Park District to provide regional park services and facilities to the residents of the area, while LARPD continues to provide local park and recreation services and facilities within Murray Township. Generally, before an application can be reviewed by the commission at a public meeting, LAFCOs must initiate a property tax negotiation process between agencies affected by the proposal. For a property tax exchange authority, under the California Revenue and Taxation Code, and in particularly Section 99B6, Alameda County is authorized to make property tax exchange determinations on behalf of special districts. The county's 1980 master tax agreement states no transfer of property taxes would occur for East Bay Regional Park District annexations, meaning East Bay Regional Park District would manage regional parks without additional tax allocation. And this was also reaffirmed at the time of the annexation proposal for Murray Township. So LARPD and East Bay Regional Park District voluntarily entered into the 1992 property tax sharing agreement despite no obligation having to do so. The agreement aimed to fulfill their mutual goals of providing quality park and recreation services in Murray Township. As part of the agreement, a portion of LARPD property tax revenues were shared with East Bay Regional Park District to develop and maintain regional parks, open spaces, and trails. LAFCO approved the annexation of Murray Township into East Bay Regional Park District's jurisdiction concurrently with the tax sharing agreement. Over time, disagreements have arisen regarding the agreement if the agreement has been adequately honored and whether funds are being appropriately spent. In terms of LARPD's position and concerns, the district contends that the tax sharing agreement was intended to keep funds within Murray Township while allowing East Bay Regional Park District to manage those funds under mutual agreement. East Bay Regional Park District spending outside Murray Township. So LARPD asserts that tax revenues collected from Murray Township residents have been spent on projects outside of the township. In addition, LARPD contends that the funds were not intended for operations at Del Valle Regional Park. LARPD believes that the tax sharing agreement intended that it has not been able to participate adequately in the planning and oversight on how those funds were spent. The agreement specifies that tax revenues should support the development of new regional parks, open spaces, and trails within Murray Township area, but LARPD claims funds have primarily been used for maintaining existing facilities rather than new development. And then for reported net funds, this is total taxes, interest, entrance fees, and grants minus total expenditures for Murray Township. By East Bay Regional Park District, that number is approximately 33.5 million for the period from 1999 to 2004. And then expenses for police and fire are not included in those above funds. East Bay Regional Park District's position and counter arguments. East Bay Regional Park District maintains that it has compiled the tax sharing agreement and that, has complied with the tax sharing agreement and that its expenditures in Murray Township exceed the tax revenues it receives as a result of the tax sharing agreement with the LARPD by around $19 million. The district asserts that its taxes shared by LARPD was not intended to be restricted solely to projects within the township as it operates on a regional model. These costs for police, fire, and emergency services are not easily quantified and therefore not reflected in the submission to LAFCO. These costs within Murray Township are significant, but they're not reflected in the financial reports that were provided. And East Bay Regional Park District maintains that it has been willing to meet with LARPD leadership to discuss tax sharing agreements and related concerns. Now, while LAFCO does not have authority to enforce or modify this tax sharing agreement, LAFCO strongly encourages both agencies to continue discussions in good faith to address areas of disagreement, consider mediation for legal review if a resolution cannot be reached, and LAFCO is staff and as well, I'm sure a facilitator is available to foster future discussions, but staff suggests at this time not to take further action unless formally requested by both agencies. And with that, I will return the item to the chair.
Okay, thank you. For this item, I think we're going to take public comments first, and then the commission can give me their comments. Speaker card. Okay. Let's see. First, let's do with Ken Wasaki from the Park District, East Bay Regional Park District.
Afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Ken Wysocki. I'm the Assistant General Manager in charge of Acquisition, Stewardship, and Development for East Bay Regional Park District. And I'll be reading a statement on behalf of General Manager Sabrina Landreth, who unfortunately could not be here today. And here's her statement. I appreciate the opportunity to address LAFCO regarding the ongoing partnership between East Bay Regional Park District and LARPD, as well as the tax sharing agreement that enabled East Bay Regional Park District to annex Murray Township and provide regional parks and open space to the residents of Murray Township effectively. In 1992, East Bay Regional Park District and LARPD wanted to ensure that they could meet the growing demands of Murray Township for regional parks and open space without imposing tax burden on its residents. The tax sharing agreement was born out of extensive discussions and a shared vision for providing park and open space facilities across Alameda County. The core objective was clear: to ensure that regional and local park services could coexist and thrive through a fair distribution of existing property tax revenues. Under this agreement, East Bay Regional Park District assumed responsibility for acquiring, developing, and maintaining regional parks, open spaces, and trails in Murray Township, while LARPD would provide community and local park services. This arrangement was not only equitable, but also practical, allowing each district to leverage its strength in serving the community's diverse needs. The property tax exchange between East Bay Regional Park District and LARPD became final upon East Bay Regional Park District's annexation of Murray Township. East Bay Regional Park District receives its portion directly from Alameda County Auditor Control Office, just as LARPD does. East Bay Regional Park District has responsibly utilize the allocated funds to significantly enhance the park district's infrastructure in Murray Township. From 1998 to 2003, East Bay Regional Park District received approximately $104 million in property tax revenues from this area, but spent over $124 million in direct and indirect costs, not including substantial investments in public safety services such as fire and police protection. Furthermore, East Bay Regional Park District has secured over $23 million in grants to support various projects, ensuring that the tax revenues from Murray Township were effectively supplemented by additional resources. These investments underscore East Bay Regional Park District's commitment to providing exceptional regional park services that benefit not only Murray Township, but also the broader East Bay community. And I see we're running out of time here, so
Okay.
thank you.
There's no need to
You didn't finish.
let him finish.
Can I finish that? Almost done. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's been suggested that the tax sharing agreement may disproportionately burden LARPD or East Bay Regional Park District's use of the funds is not adequately serving Murray Township residents. I want to clarify that the tax allocation received by East Bay Regional Park District from Murray Township is directly in line with what East Bay Regional Park District receives from other areas in Alameda and Contra Costa County. This is by design. This ensures consistency and fairness in the provision of regional park services. Moreover, the agreement explicitly provides for participation of LARPD in all master planning processes related to regional parks within Murray Township, ensuring local perspectives are respected and incorporated into decision-making. East Bay Regional Park District's contribution goes beyond financial investment. Our management of over 16,000 acres of open space, including Del Val Regional Park District and Brushy Peak, has provided invaluable recreational and environmental benefits to the residents of Murray Township. These facilities attract hundreds of thousands of visitors annually, boosting local economy and enhancing the quality of life for residents. A recent community survey highlighted that 94% of East Alameda County residents view our services as a valuable public resources, with high satisfaction rates regarding the accountability and safety of our parks. This feedback reaffirms the effectiveness of our management and provision of the East Bay Regional Park District. Looking ahead, East Bay Regional Park District remains committed to fostering a collaborative relationships with LARPD. We have reinitiated liaison committee meeting with LARPD and have no doubt we can resolve any outstanding concerns and explore opportunities for even greater synergy between our districts. In closing, I respectfully urge the Commission to acknowledge the continued partnership between our two agencies. We believe that a study or review of services provided by East Bay Regional Park District would confirm that we are meeting its commitment in Murray Township and to the Murray Township residents. Thank you for the time and consideration. Appreciate it.
Thank you. The next speaker will be Jan Pelagic from the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District.
Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners. My name is Jan Palajak, and I'm the Board Chair of the Livermore Area Recreation and Park District. I wanted to take this opportunity to thank the Commission and Alternate Commissioner Bob Warner and Executive Officer Rachel Jones for all your work on this issue and facilitating discussions between the districts. We found this process very helpful to better understand the data and East Bay Regional Park District's position regarding the 1992 tax sharing agreement. There was a lot of data and financial information in today's agenda packet, but to simplify the issue, the 1992 tax sharing agreement is not a typical tax exchange required for annexation. When East Bay Regional Park District annexed Murray Township, Alameda County adopted a tax exchange agreement on behalf of the districts that allowed $0 or allocated $0 to East Bay. LARPD and East Bay voluntarily entered into the 1992 tax sharing agreement separately, and it was not required to complete the annexation. East Bay is now attempting to treat these two agreements the same, taking the position the 1992 tax sharing agreement is the same as a tax exchange and needed for the annexation and can be spent and can spend the funds any way it likes. The 1992 tax sharing agreement contains specific requirements for how the funds must be spent, but East Bay now takes a position it can spend funds from the tax sharing agreement anywhere in the boundaries of Alameda County and Contra Costa County, and not in Murray Township, regardless of what the tax sharing agreement says. Recently, East Bay suggested that if LARPD needs more revenue, it should ask Alameda County or the city of Livermore for assistance. LARPD wants revenues from Murray Township to be spent in Murray Township. Again, thank you for all your work on this. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. The next speaker is Kelly Abreu.
He's not here.
Who isn't here. The next one will be Olivia Sanwong from East Bay Regional Park District.
Hello, good afternoon. Thanks so much for having us here today. I'm Olivia Sanwong, and I'm the Ward 5 Director, as well as the Vice President for the East Bay Regional Park District Board of Directors. I represent the Livermore area, Dublin, Fremont, Newark, Pleasanton, and Sunol on the East Bay Regional Park District Board. And before this, I was an elected board director for the Zone 7 Water Agency, overseeing flood management and water supply for the Tri-Valley. For over 30 years, the Livermore area has benefited from being a part of East Bay Regional Park District. East Bay Parks operates on a regional scale, achieving efficiencies that reduce per acre costs while providing essential services like wildfire management, habitat restoration, and helicopter and marine patrols. These services, combined with economies of scale, ensure safe and well-managed open spaces for Livermore residents within a broader regional network. I believe that core to East Bay Regional Park District's mission is to provide safe access to open space for all of our communities, including those in and around Livermore. I have been involved in this process here at LAFCO since you first started meeting about this in October and discussing this municipal services agreement. And I really appreciate that both East Bay Parks and the LARPD general managers have met with Commissioner Bob Warner since the January 2025 LAFCO meeting. And I'm really encouraged that our agencies, we are scheduled to meet the first week of April, so just in a few weeks. And I really believe that we can reach an equitable and collaborative solution that benefits all of our shared constituents. And I think that that's a really important point that I want to make sure that we underline as we move forward to look for some opportunities in regards to shared projects and other solutions. I guess the final point that I just want to make is really, as the elected representative for this area, I remain committed to really providing safe access to open space. And I believe that we can uphold this mission by working in partnership rather than division. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next speaker is Kelly Abreu.
I would draw the analogy a little bit back to the Alameda County Flood Control District, which in its mind is only responsible for providing flood control in the middle of the Fremont's largest urban lake and most important urban lake. And if they operate that way, then you're going to get an unintended negative result where all you provide is flood control. And the public expects a lot more than flood control in the city's largest urban lake. And likewise in Livermore, the public is expecting park services. Now, whether those park services come in the form of, gold-plated swings and gold-plated playgrounds and recreational historic lectures every day and nature walks twice a day and everything, or whether it comes in the form of new parks and new acreage, that's the public probably doesn't really care. They probably take any kind of services. They probably they're good. They like all kinds of services as long as they're good services. And another analogy, Starbucks. Starbucks has a lot, or McDonald's or whatever. They have a lot of stores, and if you have a contract that was written in 1972 with Starbucks agrees to build more stores, and of course you never close stores in this scenario because just like parks never close. You hardly ever see them closing parks and shutting down a park. That would be crazy, right? And likewise, if you imagine that they never close a coffee shop and Starbucks is always opening more stores every year, sooner or later, Starbucks is going to take over the world. They're going to run out of places to put new Starbucks. They're going to be everywhere. There's not going to be room for anything else besides Starbucks, because it's a mantra of, or an ethos, or infinite growth mentality. And this contract has infinite growth built into it. We're always providing more and more acreage, more bigger, more and bigger. You don't have enough room in East County to build, or in Murray Township or anywhere to build for infinite growth. So, this it requires a little bit of common sense to come up with things that people need and deliver on them. And also, whenever you build more parks or whatever, you spend a lot of money on maintenance and maintenance and operations. It's a lot. It's not just about new capital spending. It's a lot of it goes into maintenance and operations. Thanks.
Okay. So that's all the public speaking cards that I have. Rachel?
Thank you, Chair Johnson. There's one member online that would like to speak, so I'll allow them to talk. Mr. David Lunn.
Okay.
Yep. Hello, my name is David Lunn. First of all, I want to thank LAFCO for initiating this process, because really for the first time, I think the public is able to see in writing what the concerns were of these two agencies. So I really appreciate what's happened. I also agree that it's not LAFCO's job to be proactive, but I do think it's important for the two agencies to be proactive. And I know you talked only about money, and that's appropriate, but I think what the public would like to see is a list of the 10 regional trails that are on the East Bay Regional Park Master Plan, and a simple compilation of how many miles in the trails and how many miles have been completed in the last 10 years and how many miles are in the next 5 years capital improvement project. And I attended the trails meeting last week and the budget meeting, and I commented on those to East Bay Regional Parks. They have no money scheduled or no work scheduled for any trails in the next 5 years. And I think that's really the issue. They could be completing trails. I encourage them to complete some trails, but they have not been doing that. And I hope out of this whole process, it results in some trails being built. Anyway, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other public comment, Rachel? Okay.
Oh.
So I'll open it up for commission comments. Commissioner Warner, did you want to start?
All right. Thank you. I've appreciated the opportunity to work with both sides on this, and think I've got an understanding of what's the core here, and I'm going to go through that in a second. But I will respond to the last two public speakers. As opposed to what Mr. Bruce said, this agreement isn't about infinite growth, but it is about what Mr. Lunn said about trails. They're specifically mentioned in the tax sharing agreement. 1992, they're not done. So that's a core example of the question as to whether the agreement has been fulfilled. Now, what I'm going to get to is, this is, to me, fundamentally a breach of contract type dispute. I'm not sure that therefore it's in our bailiwick, but that's what it is. Let me explain. As you've heard, LARPD asserts that East Bay is not fulfilling its obligations under the tax sharing agreement. The new items that were enumerated are not done yet. And there's not been a lot of cooperation in assigning these strategic priorities. And there's actually been some reluctance over the years for that to happen. Now, East Bay's position seems to be that they have the universal right to interpret the agreement as they see fit, that they got the money, so it's theirs and they can do it. And they get to decide what happens in Murray Township. And they can even spend the tax revenues given to them by LARPD under the agreement outside of Murray Township. And I don't think you can find anywhere in the tax sharing agreement where it says that can happen. So let me just go to one thing because I'm a financial type. And I requested that we see the financials because we had a lot of people saying one thing or another. I'm being financial. Let me see the numbers. Okay. Now, East Bay looks at the financials they submitted to LAFCO as showing they have spent 19 million more in Murray Township than they received from the tax sharing agreement. And you heard that repeated again today. However, I find this assertion to be quite disingenuous. And let me explain. East Bay is omitting, even though you did hear them allude to it, from their claim the nearly 53 million in operating revenue and project grants they also received. So what the implication is, they get operating grants for Del Val improvements. I mean, project grants for Del Val improvements of 20 some million. And that therefore they can spend tax revenue shared by LARPD outside of Murray Township. Also, there's another 20 some million of entrance fees at Del Val that they are neglecting in their 19 million net. So when you put back this 53 million, it's actually their 32, 33 million ahead net as a result of the tax sharing agreement. They've collected more in total by 30 some million than they spent. Now, collected from LARPD that they spent on behalf of LARPD. Now, the next thing is, and why this is not trivial, is that if there's also the contention that Del Val was an existing facility and that this agreement was about new facilities. So if you back out Del Val, the net to East Bay is 89 million. So this is not trivial. This is a major amount of money that's in dispute here. So I think you can see that that this matters, and it's really a contract. Who gets the right to determine what the contract says? It's there, and you say, well, it's in plain English, but I think as Glenn can attest that that doesn't always work. And I'll just say this, tax sharing agreement is probably not the finest example of how to document intentions of contracting parties and how to provide relief should there be a breach of contract. So that's what this is about to me. These numbers are big, and I don't think everybody's being forthright in how to think about it.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, I mean, if what I'm gathering is you're gonna have another meeting in April, and we want to, I think we're here to facilitate. So I guess I have a question, whether it's for Commissioner Warner or for LARPD or East Bay Regional Park District, what else or different can we provide to facilitate further discussions? If you need any resources, I guess I think we should hear that.
I could just say, just with respect to that, what we did was hold a meeting to clarify and crystallize what the differences were, because we were not, you can see how far apart these parties are. We're not in a position, we're not mediators, anything like that. So you could suggest somebody to help them come to some resolution. But that's not the approach that Rachel and I took.
In the concept paper, it said that the liaison committee will meet quarterly each year. And one of those meetings will be the liaison committee is meeting again. My question is, when was the last time the liaison committee met?
Anybody?
Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID? We had one meeting when I came on board in 2018, and then subsequent meetings were either canceled or then COVID hit. Prior to that, between about 1992 to 2000, it was good. Got a little worse in the decade after that, and then kind of just ceased to be a regular pattern. But we're going to go through and identify all of that so we're all on the same page.
There we go. It seems like that would be, since that's in the concept paper, that would be the place to have been bringing these ideas up and these disagreements up over the last 33 years. That was the appropriate venue, and it was envisioned in the concept paper. Now, what's interesting is I got thinking about on the way over here that I have been dealing with this agreement in one way or another for the last 33 years, because this impacted the operations of Zone 7. When I was on the Zone 7 Water Board, we lost 10,000 acre feet of capacity in Lake Del Valle and cost the district ultimately $200 million. And then, so back and forth, doing this for 33 years. And to suddenly have this come up and like, this is, as Commissioner Warner has pointed out, these are significant dollars. There's a tremendous amount of disagreement here. One group says they've met, another group says they haven't. It's easy enough to figure out what the meeting dates were. But there is a mechanism in the agreement to deal with these disagreements. And I think that would be a good place to start. And I'm happy to hear that the meetings have started up again, because I think that's an excellent venue to start to hash this out.
Did have a question about the comments made. This feels like a breach of contract. And so it seems on some level, this is a matter for the courts to decide. And to Commissioner Splendorio's point, if we have input into that, or we have the opportunity to provide information or the results of our studying of this, the providing of resources or the providing of the recreational activities that are due to the community, that's our role in this, but it feels like this is a matter for the courts to decide. So is that where this is headed? And again, if so, just Commissioner Splendorio's comments, we're here to be a resource, but we're not driving this, I don't think. No. Okay. Right.
Well, I'll go last. I'll let you go next.
I just wanted to point out exactly what Commissioner Marchand brought forward was in regard to the liaison committee meetings. This probably could have been addressed way sooner and cause less dissatisfaction by everybody had there been the regular meetings. Now, I understand COVID impacted things a lot in relationship to meeting in person and so forth. And so I think that continued discussion and collaboration in these liaison committee meetings may help get to a resolution before they goes to possible litigation.
I think it was also unfortunate when the local media picked it up and somehow it came out that this was this was LAR. I'm sorry, this was LAFCO's fault. That it was somehow LAFCO was responsible when it was codified in the agreement that the two agencies that independently signed this, suddenly one of them was out to blame LAFCO when we're trying to facilitate this, and we had nothing to do with that. So I think that unfortunately got this off on the wrong foot. And I think that going back to the liaison committee, which is where the concept paper originally saw this resolution, I think that'd be the best place to start before it ends up in the courts. Mayor Balch.
Yeah, well, thank you. I read it fresh coming into it, a new appointee, so I'll just add a bit. To me, the premise related to the liaisons, I agreed with principally as well, because I've had my own experience where East Bay Regional Park has not done a great job meeting with us to liaison, in my experience, in areas where they could have done better. So hopefully this is a wake-up call to restart the liaison opportunities and diffuse these because before they become a problem. This is 33 years ago, this agreement's been going. So I'm a little trying to understand when did this issue first appear and why it's now this length of time before appearing now. But I will assert that I did take a slightly different read of the agreement than Commissioner Warner related to the regionalness of East Bay Regional Park. East Bay Regional Park is regional. It was I read it as the premise was population growth was a concern and the desire to provide regional high quality parks. So the premise that it had to be spent within the district and that there could be population growth within other areas of Livermore Recreation District's jurisdiction that East Bay Regional Park may be serving in other areas, in neighboring municipalities. So that, if I was a judge, wouldn't be where I would be going personally, but there are regional benefits to what East Bay Regional Park provide outside of the exact area. So I thought that was, again, without a lot of background, I thought that was the premise of the population growth as almost a recital to the document. So, but I do think, as Commissioner Halbert mentioned, if this is going to the courts, I don't know if this is the right venue for this. So thank you.
Mr. Warner?
So I'd like to just, if I could say a little bit with what Commissioner Ball said. The area, the fundamental question is, did East Bay, or did LARPD enter into this agreement to take tax revenues that it collected and had a full right to, and to give them to another entity to spend outside of Murray Township, which is identical to LARPD's area. So the thought that they said, well, we've got more money coming to us than we can spend in Murray Township, and we want to have you give it away. That's not clear in this agreement. I think you can argue it as you did, but the question is, the agreement has no mechanism to resolve disputes. You can have, let's get together and talk, but there's no way to force this is the problem. So if one party says, we got the money, we'll do what we want, but we'll talk to you about it. That's kind of where we're at here. So if you get down to what did people intend, I personally find it hard to believe that a district that's responsible for providing services within its area voluntarily is going to give the money away after be spent outside. That's hard to believe.
It seems like my tax bracket every day, Commissioner Warner. Can I ask a quick question and follow up? As Hayward Area Recreation District has something similar, right? Do they have an agreement similar to this?
Where it?
Because,
No.
Sorry, yeah, please.
I would say no, because East Bay Regional Park District pretty much covers the county, so there was no annexation requirement for that. Now, whether the residents pay that same increment, that I need to determine, but as far as I know, since there's no property tax sharing agreement between those two districts, it would be a different amount.
Okay, I'll just go slightly further, which is, if open space became available in an area outside of the specific sphere area of this agreement that could benefit the residents as a regional provider, I do see the allocation of resources outside the specific area being a plausible statement.
Yeah, to the point that there's no mechanism to deal with this, it says at least one meeting each year would be devoted primarily to a financial review. The liaison committee members would then provide regular informational reports to their full boards. And then at additional appropriate times, the liaison committee would conduct public meetings to secure information from members of the public and to enhance public awareness of the joint activities. What sounds to me like for over 20 years, there was no oversight. Right. So that if there's no oversight, then to me, that's tacit approval.
I think a comment was made by the parks that the amount of monies received is commensurate with what they achieve elsewhere. Maybe you could expand on that. Did you mean to say that this kind of exchange of money for services exists with other agencies in your vast jurisdiction? And could you provide more details of those examples? You have to get funding from somewhere. I don't know exactly where it comes from. Do you have other tax sharing agreements? Are they proportionately the same with other areas?
Good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Lynn Borgo. I'm general counsel for the East Bay Regional Park District. And to answer your first question about whether or not the amount of revenue that we receive is kind of equivalent to where kind of property tax revenue we receive in other areas of our jurisdiction, it is. And the concept paper that the two agencies worked on before they entered into the tax sharing agreement actually specifically says that East Bay Regional Parks would only do an annexation if it received a tax allocation similar to what it receives in other parts of its jurisdiction. So that the amount that it receives was by design, and there was going to be no annexation if East Bay didn't receive that similar share.
What other tax sharing agreements do you have in place?
I can't answer that completely, but I believe this is the only one. And a lot of that has to do with how the district grew. There were other annexations, but some of them were before Prop 13. So before Prop 13, you didn't have a limited way there. People could pass, you could expand the amount of taxes that you were charging without having to split that 1%. Most of our park district grew before Prop 13 in 1978.
So you're charging other jurisdictions or other populations based on a tax amount?
We get a certain amount allocated by the county assessor, and it is slightly different for different jurisdictions. We also have special taxes. We have bond obligations. We don't have those for Murray Township. So the amount that we receive in different areas is different, but the amount of that 1% ad valorem property tax that we get is very, very similar. It's not exactly the same, but if you look at the concept paper, it is part of your packet. It's about 0.03% of that 1%, and that is roughly equivalent to what we get everywhere else.
Okay.
Thank you.
Georgine?
Just from my own personal opinion here, it seems to me the biggest problem, thank you, the biggest problem is the fact that the concept paper or the agreement doesn't specifically say that the money they collect has to be spent within the Murray Township. LARPD has sort of thought that, but East Bay Regional Park obviously didn't. The fact is that the agreement doesn't say, and that's a litigable issue, something we'll never ever decide. And for that matter, I'm not sure sitting down and discussing it, they'll ever decide. It's something a court has to decide.
Yeah, if I could just say one thing, to clarify what I said when there's no mechanism in the agreement. Should there be a disagreement to resolve it? I meant exactly that. There's no way. Now, there are mechanisms assuming that the parties are cooperating. They said they would. They said they'd integrate their strategic plans. They said they'd do a lot of stuff, and they haven't done it. Now, as you could say, that, okay, that means there was a tacit approval during that period of time. But now we've come to the point where it's clear there's not approval. And there's no mechanism to force the parties to, there's nothing in the agreement that says this is how you will resolve a dispute through mediation, through whatever. Now, it's true that through an indirect political process, that you have liaison committee get together, they disagree publicly, the public sees that, then you can vote in new board members and you can do that. Okay, that's a very lengthy, convoluted way to resolve disputes. Normally in contracts, not normally, but a lot of them I've seen, you've got a way to resolve issues. You have mechanisms. You have protections for the parties that enter into the agreement. Should a future entity who's managing changes their mind as to what it means. And so I think you've just seen it here. Is the money to be spent outside or not? You can look at this agreement and say, I don't know, but there's no way to say it. Now, one thing I'll just come back to, the agreement was specifically enumerated trails. This is over 3 decades. And for some reason, the money isn't there. But nearly 90 million has been spent elsewhere. So it strikes me as, I don't think at the time they entered into this, they said, yeah, you can take half a century. We don't care. Spend it elsewhere. That just doesn't make sense to me. But I started out with saying this is a contract dispute, and that's where it's got to go. And there's nothing in the contract that makes it easy to resolve it.
Oh, yeah. I get a sense that perhaps some of the commissioners are tiring of this. I am not. But I don't know if it's an advantage because I mean there is a mechanism for resolving disputes. Just because it's not written here doesn't mean you can voluntarily go do something else like mediation or arbitration. You're free to do that on your own. You're also free to go to court. You're free to do that. I mean, that's, in the old days, a lot of agreements didn't really say things like mediation, arbitration. It didn't say that, just you go to court. It was easier to get to court. You could have it resolved in a month or less than a year. But I think it's wise to stay involved, at least for LAFCO's purposes, because and one thing I did not hear from Commissioner Warner's report or anybody else's, except I kind of heard from Mr. Lund, a result. Build some more trails in Murray Township. I did hear that.
Yeah.
I would love to know what a good result would be here that not just benefits one park district over another, but actually benefits the public. Because I think ultimately that's what's important here. And yes, if there's a sense, or at least an understanding between both park districts that there could be more, for example, Mr. Lund, there could be more trails here. I would love to turn this into a more discussion of how do we change or amend this agreement to accommodate mutually agreeable goals. I mean, I'm just giving my 2 cents on this. That's why I think I'd like for us to stay involved, because ultimately I'd like to see this all benefit somehow, some way, somehow the public in Murray Township, and by extension, I think it benefits also all the people within Contra Costa and Alameda counties. I mean, some of you know where I live, and there's a lot of people that go to Del Val, and I figure they're not just from Livermore only, although I do see my friends biking, but I that's part of the deal, right? They should be able to enjoy from other parts of Contra Costa, other parts of Alameda County, go to Del Val, and likewise, go to other East Bay Regional Park districts, parks like I have, and enjoy them. So I do see the benefit, but I do think that, like I said, I'd like to hear more about if we can resolve this, can we benefit both districts and the public in general?
Staff, if I can make a suggestion, if we check back with the two districts in about 6 months and see if, discussions have improved. And from there, the commission can decide, whether to continue to let the districts resolve that on their own, or possibly if LAFCO should step in and perhaps conduct a study regarding this further.
It was an April 5th meeting, so hopefully there will be some good that comes out of that. Now that this whole discussion is public, perhaps there will be a more fruitful exchange at the April 5th meeting. I concur. I think that coming back in about 6 months would be valuable.
Everybody okay with that?
You want a motion?
Okay,
So move.
okay. Second,
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye. Oh, we have a roll call
We
vote.
do have to do. Commissioner Miley joined us.
My thanks to Commissioner Warner for taking the lead on that, and also Executive Director Jones. Thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. It's a roll call vote.
Well, can I amend the motion?
Yes.
Just following on from Commissioner Marchand, to thank Commissioner Warner for
Oh, absolutely.
taking the lead.
Yeah.
You want that in the motion? I'll second it.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Boy, he has to accept the amended motion.
This is a roll call vote.
Honey
Chair
Finn?
Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Balch,
Aye.
Commissioner Faria,
Aye.
Commissioner Halbert,
Aye.
Commissioner Marchand.
Aye.
Commissioner Miley,
Yes.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Okay. Let's move on to item number 7, the transition plan for operational independence and extension of the county MOU. Turn this over to staff.
Chair. So this item presents the LAFCO transition plan, which outlines steps necessary for LAFCO to fully separate from Alameda County and operate as an independent entity. The plan addresses key administrative, financial, and operational components of the transition and recommends extending its existing MOU agreement with the county through December 2025, the end of this year, to ensure a smooth transition. LAFCO has historically relied on Alameda County for payroll, finance, human resources, and IT services, as well as office space. To enhance autonomy, LAFCO must establish independent banking, payroll, and employee benefit systems while securing its own office space and liability insurance. The transition process is structured to occur in phases to ensure continuity of services and avoid operational disruptions. The first part and key element of the plan is for looking at financial services. So establishing a new bank account with an initial deposit of $5,000, contract a bookkeeper to manage financial accounts and reporting, secure an independent payroll provider, and then looking at employee benefits. We're looking to finalize decision between the Alameda County Employment Retirement Association and CalPERS for retirement benefits, determine health benefits providers, either still through the county, through CalPERS, or through SDRMA, and develop personnel policies tailored to LAFCO as an independent employer. As far as our operational setup, we're looking to secure office space and hopefully finalizing an agreement with the county to remain in the current space, as well as our IT service contract with the county, and then obtain our own liability assurance either through SDRMA or Alliant. And then as far as our procurement process, contracts procured, hopefully under this transition plan, will not be administered by Alameda County. So to ensure fair and competitive procurement process, LAFCO is recommending to issue requests for proposals for legal, financial, and admin services, establish an ad hoc committee to oversee contract selection, and develop its own procurement policies to replace reliance on the county's procedures. And also we have the MOU extension request. So LAFCO will request a formal extension of our existing MOU agreement with the county till the end of the year and to allow for this orderly transition. For our timeline and next steps, for mid-March, we're hoping to issue a request for proposal for legal counsel, a permanent legal counsel, finalize contracts for our bookkeeping and payroll services, and establish a transitional bank account. And for May, our goal is to secure approval of the MOU extension with the county, finalize our office space and IT service agreements, and confirm retirement and health benefits. And as of June 1st, our goal is to begin this official transition process, and then our target date for full operational independence would be the end of the year. So staff recommends the commission approve the transition plan and authorize the executive officer to negotiate and execute the MOU extension with the county. And of course, based on the review from legal counsel, proceed with the request for proposals for key financial, legal, and operational services, and implement the plan's phased transition approach to minimize any disruptions. And with that, I'll return the item to the chair.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any public input cards for this. Assume there's no public input. I'll open it up for commission discussion.
Alternative one.
Motion to.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further?
Got a hand raised. Nate, Miley.
Commissioner Miley?
Yes, I just wanted to ask, with this transition and going out for services, will this increase the amount of funding that each jurisdiction will have to put in?
We usually have a around 5% increase from each fiscal year. And unfortunately, this one, you'll see an additional 5% increase. And that is due to the potential health benefit increases or retirement plans. We're just trying to be as conservative as possible. So there will be an increase and of additional 5% from each of our funding agencies.
Okay, and do you project that there'll be further increases over time? Like over the next 5 years, let's say, because I know there are other LAFCOs that are independent. I'm just trying to get a sense if there's going to be additional assessments.
I do not. I think the first year will be the major adjustment, and we'll see the biggest increase. And then after, the next fiscal year, I believe that will stabilize, given that we have all our plans in place.
Okay.
So any more
with
discussion?
the greater efficiencies, and it'll be worth that.
Okay. So if there's any more discussion, this is a roll call vote.
Chair Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Balch,
Aye.
Commissioner Faria,
Aye.
Commissioner Halbert,
Aye.
Commissioner Marchand, Commissioner Miley,
Aye.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
On to item number 9. That's the opening a transitional bank account with the Bank of Fremont.
Thank you, Chair. So this report recommends that Alameda LAFCO approve the opening of a dedicated transitional bank account with the Bank of Fremont. An initial deposit of $5,000 is proposed to cover and set up expenses and initial operational costs as LAFCO moves forward our full operational separation from the county. We had our ad hoc selection committee with Commissioners Faria, Johnson, Bonhiter, Leopold, and Warner, and they evaluated proposals from multiple financial institutions, looked at Five Star Bank, JP Morgan Chase, and ultimately decided on the Bank of Fremont. based on their fees and their service condition, and also that they had a physical bank location. Staff is, if approved, staff will work with the Bank of Fremont to establish this new account, and it will be monitored regularly with dual signatory requirements to ensure financial accountability. And of course, regular reports on the account status will be provided at subsequent commission meetings. With that, I'll just return the item to the chair for any discussion or questions.
Yeah, I don't have any speaker cards. I'll open this up for commission comments.
I'll just make a comment that I'm going to be abstaining from this item just due to my personal business working relationship with the subject bank. So thank you.
Can I just, I'm sensitive to this because I do a lot of lender, work with, I think they're called Fremont Bank because connotation of Bank of Fremont, I mean, Bank of America or America Bank, there actually exist names like that out there in the world. So I just want to make sure that, it's Fremont Bank. You may want to change that future.
Will do, Commissioner.
Yeah, I mean, there may be a Bank of Fremont that we don't know about.
Okay.
Yeah, just a legal question. I also have a bank account with Bank of Fremont. Do I need to recuse myself or does that matter? I don't have the extensive ongoing business relationships that my colleague has, but
If it's a simple checking savings account kind of thing, I don't see a basis for a conflict that would preclude you from voting on this. Those are accounts that are available to the general public, and LAFCO contracting with the Bank of Fremont or Fremont Bank, whichever it may be, is not going to implicate your business transaction.
just have to check. Thank you.
Okay. So entertain a motion to approve alternative one to open a transitional bank account with Fremont Bank.
I'll make that motion.
You have a motion, do I have a second? A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, this will be a roll call vote.
Chair Johnson,
Aye.
Commissioner Balch,
Abstain.
Commissioner Faria,
Aye.
Commissioner Halbert,
Aye.
Commissioner Marchand,
Aye.
Commissioner Miley,
Aye.
Commissioner Splendorio.
Aye.
Let the record reflect the motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 10, matters initiated by members of the commission. Any commissioners have a?
I have something.
Okay.
I wanted to go back to the consent portion on the MS review for the healthcare services. On page 5 of the packet, or page 41 of the entire packet, there's a graph that shows the hospitals in the county, and San Leandro Hospital does not appear in there. And San Leandro Hospital is part of Alameda Health System. And so I just wanted to bring that forward as a correction to that graph that's in there.
So if I can, I mentioned to Rachel before that I had severe problems with this because the consultant, it's poorly researched. It's more than that. It's more than that. And I decided I'll just go along with this just for Washington Hospital. And I have reservations about this consultant because of the errors in just basic research. But I'm going to go over them with Rachel and show there's substantial misunderstanding of the healthcare systems in Alameda County. And which is not to say you couldn't prepare an MSR for Washington, but I want to get it on firmer ground if we're going to continue using this consultant, that it does actually spend the time to research the health. And then maybe I know more, maybe you know more than it does, but I would think a consultant would have, because this is all public information. There's no mystery. I brought the Alameda Health System 2024. You just flip through this, tells you a lot of what you need to know. I did catch a lot and I'll just, after the meeting, if we have time, I'll just go over with Rachel and just show her things. And if you don't mind, Mary Ellen, I'll do that.
That's fine.
We'll move on to item number 11, the executive officer's report.
And no report from the
board. How about informational items?
So overall, just to note that I know Commission Clerk April is trying to request Form 700, so those are due April 1st. No updates on any pending proposals right now. And then we have Commissioner Von Heater Leopold, her term ending in May of this year. And just the Cal LAFCO staff workshop from April 30th to May 2nd in Temecula, California.
That's it.
So thank you. So with that, we're ready to adjourn. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.